Chancellor Suarez Orozco, I have the honor to present to you Robert Hale to receive the Chancellor's Medal for Exemplary Leadership.
Robert Hale, you are one of the Boston's area most well-known philanthropist, the co-founder and president of Granite Telecommunications, LLC, an amazingly successful local company headquartered in the Granite City of Quincy.
Yeah.
Since forming the company in 2002, you have positioned Granite to supply more than 1.8 million business lines and generate revenues of more than $1.8 billion annually. Of all the corporations on the Fortune 100 list, more than 2/3 utilize Granite products, including 18 of the top 20 retailers in the nation across industries, including healthcare, finances, financial services, real estate, and many others. You and your wife, Karen, have earned much accolades for your generous, visionary giving locally and nationally. The Chronicle of Philanthropy and Forbes magazine have named you and Karen among the top 25 largest donors in the United States of America. In 2022, you launched a, quote, 52 weeks of giving initiative, which was detailed in the cover story for Forbes 400 issue. You have held leadership roles at Boston's Children's Hospital, the Massachusetts, let's hear it for the hospital, the Massachusetts Soldiers Legacy Fund, Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Deerfield Academy, Connecticut College, and Brigham and Women's Hospital. And Granite was recognized as the most philanthropic company in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in 2022 due to its contributions of over $52.5 million to our local organizations. You have been lauded by multiple publications for your entrepreneurial and leadership prowess, and named several times in the Boston Business Journal Power 50, which recognizes the 50 most powerful people in Boston's business. You've also received the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award and have been saluted many, many times as one of the 25 most influential people in the American telecom sector. That all may appreciate your visionary business leadership, entrepreneurial excellence, and immeasurable generosity, the University of Massachusetts Boston is honored to confer upon you the Chancellor's Medal for Exemplary Leadership. class of 2023. I give you Mr. Robert Hale.
Thank you. No, I need that afterwards. Thanks. Thank you, Chancellor. Well done, Lee Daniel. Give it up for Lee Daniel. What about me? I got to follow Senator Warren. Are you kidding me? Who wants that job? Give it up for Senator Warren. Thank you all. Thank you, faculty, staff, family, friends. Most of all, thank you, graduates, for sharing this day with me. Give it up for the graduates. It is a true honor to be with you. Today is a special day, a truly special day. What a great time to be one of you. It's a beautiful day. Senator Warren spoke, and she is defining policy that's going to affect the world. And she spoke to you today personally. And now it's about to get even better. She gave you hope, and I'm going to give you business advice. And now, so if you don't know it, let's be clear. I started a business in Quincy, like literally right over there. And it went public, and I was the leader. And then I managed to lead it into bankruptcy. And in the process, I lost $1 billion. So honestly, I might be have you ever met someone who lost $1 billion before? There's a very good chance I'm the biggest loser you've ever met. And now you guys are getting career advice from me. What a great day. But no, honestly, there is a silver lining here, guys. My speech is going to take no more than 45, 50 minutes. And then you could forget everything I've said. 8 years from now, you could tell your friends and your family, hey, we had Senator Warren at our commencement. And she is going to be in history books. So we'll take it from here. In all sincerity, some of the most important lessons that I learned in my life, I learned at the juncture of life that you are at right now. And I'd like to share a couple of them really quickly with you. Okay? First one, it's okay to fail. Don't let the fear of failure define you. And to illustrate this point, I have to back you up a few minutes and give you a quick explanation of my checkered history. It all started with the juncture that many of you are about to begin on right now, my very first job. When I graduated, I went to work in Boston for a long-distance company as a telemarketer at the Prudential Center for a company called MCI. Great job, I loved it. There was this thing called aggregation, and customers asked me about it and said, what is this? I said, I don't know what this is, but I'll look into it. And as I looked into it, I said to my parents, we can do this. And my parents, they bet their nest egg on me. They put $400,000, which I'm telling you was their nest egg. They bet the farm on me. And so they were the funders, and I was the founder of a company called Network Plus in 1990. 1990, we lost money. From 91 to 98, we grew profitably. We grew to be about a $150 million business. We had a great little business. I just didn't know how great it was. Goldman Sachs cold called me and said, hey, you want to do a bond offering? And I said, listen, I don't know what a bond offering is. I'm a phone guy. I'm not a finance guy. I don't know what that means. And they said, if you do a bond offering, you could do an IPO, and you will be a billionaire. And I was like, man, I love bond offerings. Let's do that bond offering. And so what they said was going to happen, happened. We went public, and the stock started at 16. Over the next 9 months, it went to 63. And I had 27 million of those shares. So I had $1.4 billion next to my name. According to Forbes, I was the 7th wealthiest guy in the world under 40. Yeah, that's worthy of cheering if that's where the story ended. That's not where the story ends. In March of 2000, a bubble burst. And felt like it burst primarily in my face. And so that stock for 9 months, it went like this. Nothing could stop it from going up. For the next 18 months, it went like this. Nothing could stop it from going down. And so the fall of 2000, those banks called me and said, you have a credit line. We don't bank CLEX anymore. And so when your credit line expires, we're not going to renew it. So on February 4th of 2002, I ran that company into bankruptcy. And so on February 4th, I hit pretty close to bottom. The morning of February 4th, official bankruptcy was declared. $1.4 billion officially and finally became zero, never to return again. The morning got worse. That morning, I had to run a conference call with 400 sales teammates. We had gotten debtor in possession financing, which is financing you take into bankruptcy. It had a contingency. The contingency was that we had to let go all of the salespeople. So then and now, I considered myself the head of the sales team. And I think most of those 400 people joined because they trusted me and they believed in me. I had to get on a call with them and tell them, I've betrayed you. You don't have jobs anymore. The afternoon calls got worse. That afternoon, my wife's at home with a 2-year-old, 4-year-old, and a 6-year-old scampering around the floor. She picks up the phone. Guy on the end of the call says, because of what your husband's done, I'm coming over to kill you. So I have seen failure face to face. It stings. It hurts. It didn't kill me. And so when Chancellor Orozco said all those cool things, every single one of them happened after my brush with failure. So what I want you to know, it's okay to fail. And in fact, my opinion, you are already leaders. These have, others have illustrated accurately that these have been turbulent times. And you've persevered through these turbulent times. You're here now. You are a leader. If you are a leader, you should take chances. And if you take enough chances, you'll fail. It's okay. Don't let the fear of that define you. Defy it. You'll be a better leader because of it. Take chances so you can experience great things. 2 other illustrations that I'd like to give you of that. 2 of the foremost leaders of our time had brushed with failure. And it didn't defy them. They defied it. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to ask you. If the fear of failure defined him, then we may not have had the chance to see the 2nd greatest basketball player of all time. Who do you think the 2nd greatest basketball player is of all time? Somebody said Kobe. Who? Kobe? Kobe? So, no. I'm a Celtics guy, but let's be clear, this is actually empirical evidence. Some of these questions are subjective. This is not. If the point of playing basketball games competitively is to win them, which I think it is, right? Then there is a clear-cut greatest basketball player of all times. Irrefutably, greatest basketball player of all times is Bill Russell, period. Now, if we weren't in Boston and I weren't a Celtics guy, and by the way, go Celtics tonight, come on now. Then you could make a compelling argument that Michael Jordan may be the greatest basketball player of all time. You could make that argument. Do you know Michael Jordan was so good at basketball when he was a sophomore in high school, he got cut? Now, I'm fairly certain this was long before Air Jordan and Michael Jordan. He was probably a pimply-faced 10th grader named Mike Jordan. You ever been cut from a team? I have. It hurts. Story for a different day. But do you think that when he was walking around that hallway and kids were pointing at him and say, that kid got cut, did it hurt him? I'd be willing to bet it did. It didn't define him. He defied it. And we went on to see one of, if not the greatest basketball player of all time because of it. Second leader who defied failure. You guys know who Steve Jobs is? Steve Jobs was the founder of Apple, did such a wonderful job leading it. 5 or 6 years into it, he got fired. You think he wanted to go home that night and tell his family, I got fired, I'm not sure how I'm going to put bread on the table tomorrow? You think he wanted to go to social settings and be told, hey, how's that great job being CEO of Apple? I got fired. You think there were naysayers in his community who said Steve Jobs deserves to get fired and he got fired? I've been fired. I'm sure that happened to him. That failure didn't define him. He defied it. He went back to resurrect Apple. And without his tenacity, I don't think we have the single most successful product of our time, the iPhone. And by the way, if we don't have the iPhone, how do you guys get to this graduation? Like, what, you don't think that I see you going like this right now? And let me ask you a question. She gets on stage and you guys go like this, it looks like a massive Taylor Swift concert over here. I get up here and you guys are going like this. What's up? Come on. You're a leader. You're here. There were reasons when people said you couldn't graduate. There were times that we had to go through together when it was hard. Yet you're here. Failure is part of our process. Don't worry about it. Accept that it will happen. Try to avoid it. But if you're pushing hard, it's going to happen. Use it to motivate you, not to define you. Second tidbit that I want to share with you. Give a little bit more than you get. Chancellor Roscoe mentioned some really cool things that have happened to Karen and I. Many of them have a lot of dollars attached to them. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is things that you could do today that could impact your life, your family's life, your community's life, that are fun and not expensive. 2 examples that I want to give you. When I was younger than most of you are, in high school, there was this thing, an Easter Seals hoop shoot. In my school, a couple of my friends asked me to do it to represent our school. And it was make a layup and get a penny, a dollar, a dime per layup, right? And by the way, I don't make a lot of layups, so I must have got a lot of dimes. And we challenged others. And in 2.5 months, we raised $1,850 for Easter Seals, for kids who could use that money a whole lot more than me. And that ignited a spark in philanthropy and fundraising, the likes of which I never knew existed inside me. And so when Chancellor mentioned some cool things that have happened, I'm telling you, they're bedrock and foundational to my life. They're a lot of fun, and they're part of our lives. And if I didn't start doing that at 18, 17, I don't know if I would have ever found that joy. Second one I'll ask you, and I'm going to ask you rhetorically. When I was, again, at the juncture in life that I think many of you are at right now, I graduated from school in Connecticut. I moved to Boston. I got my first job. I wanted to be an active part of our community. I wanted to play a more active role. I wanted to know people. And I'd heard of Big Brother, Big Sister, Little Sister. You know that organization, right? And I said, I want to do this. And so what I committed to do was giving 4 hours a weekend to a young man who could use some mentorship. What I got was Jeffrey Else as a 12-year-old. Jeffrey, I saw him graduate from middle school. I saw him graduate from high school. I saw him and his brothers graduate from the UMass system. First generation of his family to go to college. I was in his wedding. He was in my wedding. His family's become my family. So I'm going to ask you rhetorically, I gave, but who really got that gift? Me. If you give a little more than you get, your life will be better because of it. I promise you. Final thought as we conclude. Beacons, your leaders You're going to define, you've been through turbulent times. You're going to define the next generation of our society, Commonwealth and beyond. You will have a more enjoyable life if you give a little more than you get and you take a few chances. Don't fear failure, defy it. You will have a more fulsome life because of it. Congratulations, UMass Boston, class of 2023.